G'day YouTube, Max Wright here, and really interesting guest today. Very much rising up the ranks of the crypto world. We have Natalie Brunell. Natalie, thanks so much for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So Natalie, you host a podcast. You're all over the crypto space, and you're just blowing up over the last 12 months. I've noticed. Congratulations on your success, by the way.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate it.
So, for my viewers who are not familiar with kind of where you sit in the whole scheme of things, why don't you just give us a little bit about where you are right now, and then maybe we'll take a few steps back. But where are you right now?
Sure. So I am a big Bitcoiner and I live in Los Angeles, and I host a podcast called Coin Stories, where I talk to the biggest names in Bitcoin as well as economics about their backstories, their origins, their careers, and Bitcoin news and developments. I'm also launching a new show called Hard Money, which is a video news show about Bitcoin and the macroeconomic picture. And then I actually travel the world and I educate people on Bitcoin, which has been an amazing experience. I used to be a university professor, and I took that experience and pivoted to focusing on educating people about Bitcoin, which I think can solve a lot of the world's problems. So that's a little bit about what I do. I'm sort of all over the place.
Well, that's a really interesting tangent there. So a university professor, do you mind if I delve into that a little bit? A university professor of what?
Yeah, I was an adjunct professor of journalism and advanced storytelling at the University of Southern California. I did that from 2018 until late last year, and it was really awesome. I love teaching. I love learning from students and, imprinting some of my knowledge and experience on them. And right now, all I want to do is teach people about Bitcoin.
That's awesome. So that's interesting. I consider myself an educator first and foremost above everything else. I just love it. I love every aspect of it. I homeschool my children now. I had another one a couple of weeks ago, so that's exciting.
Congrats.
Thank you very much. And so, now here's an interesting thing. So I am very much a Bitcoin purist, if you will, for all the philosophical reasons and all of those things. And just in the current political climate, where just my concept of like college and the whole university scene right now and all the wokeism and all the things that are going on right now, it seems to be just this completely opposite world to the libertarian world that I'm familiar with in the world of Bitcoin. I'm just fascinated to see how you saw yourself in those two worlds, and where do you fit? Where do you find yourself most comfortable?
That's a really interesting question, because I am very sad about the fact that our country has become so politically polarized in the last couple of years. I would actually consider myself kind of apolitical, in the sense that I'm kind of jaded about politicians and their true intentions. I think that the system is sort of designed to corrupt, and it brings out sort of these bad incentive systems that I want to fix through addressing monetary issues. And so you have to also understand that for about 10 years, I was a journalist covering elections and campaigns, and whether it was someone on the right or the left, they would come in and they would promise to fix the problem. They would say that this other person's to blame, and they would promise to spend all this money that they essentially created out of thin air, only to see the problems just get bigger and bigger and worse and worse. And that person essentially has job security for life. And I never understood it, because, the private world is so different. There are consequences, or there are supposed to be consequences. So I became a little bit jaded to politics, and I got really excited about Bitcoin in the sense that it is apolitical in nature. I think that there are aspects and attributes of it that appeal to both parties and what they stand for and what their voters want. So that's what gets me excited, because we're too political and polarized in this country. Not everyone fits in the bucket of left or right or red or blue. Some people fall in shades of gray in the middle, and I certainly do too. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I hope we get away from just this like politicization of everything.
Yeah. No, I totally get where you're coming from there. So let me think, was it, because for many people come to Bitcoin either for the profits or for the whatever, or the buzz or the technology. And then once they're here, kind of Bitcoin forces like a pretty hard red pill down people's throat regarding the financial system and the potentials and the reality of corruption in there. Was that kind of your journey, or you maybe just saw it firsthand and then weren't looking for something like Bitcoin? I'm fascinated to see if Bitcoin was your red pill or if something else was.
Yeah, no, I think I was predisposed to what Bitcoin stands for, and I was looking for something, and I didn't know Bitcoin was what I was looking for. I'm a first generation immigrant. My family's from Poland. Parents grew up under a communist regime. They wanted to flee that. They wanted to pursue the American dream and seek economic opportunity by immigrating here. They worked really, really hard, and I saw them really struggle, and we never had financial security when I was growing up. And then the second that they were able to afford a down payment and a mortgage, the financial crisis hit and they went bankrupt overnight, it seemed. So just as they had finally achieved the middle class American dream of a house in the suburbs, they lost it just as quickly. And so I graduated out of college right at that time into a recession. And I just felt like something is broken in the system. And I don't really understand what it is or how this could happen to hardworking people. And why are the big banks and the CEOs getting bailed out, but average families, 10 million Americans lost their homes. So I felt like I had a little bit of a seed planted at that point. And then also being a journalist, just witnessing society get more polarized, poverty increase, homelessness increase, political corruption increase. I saw all these problems plaguing society and putting a downward pressure on people that made them feel left behind and feeling like they can't afford the life that maybe their parents could or previous generations could. And I was searching for an answer. And then I stumbled upon Bitcoin. And I didn't even know until I really went down the rabbit hole how everything was connected to our system of money, how that's really married to politics, and how Bitcoin is this opportunity to potentially decouple money from power, money from politics. And I'm really a big advocate for it for that reason.
Yeah, it's just the theme I get over and over and over again. Just no matter how you get to Bitcoin, just the community will force it down your throat, because you have to understand we're saving the world here, people. We're not just getting rich. There's other components to that too. So I love that aspect of it. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey? So okay, you've decided that you've got the bit by the Bitcoin bug. You're like, okay, how can I use my skill set to contribute to this community and grow it up? And when did you kind of start that journey, and what's the journey been like?
So I first heard about Bitcoin in 2017. I was working as a reporter in the state capital of California. And I had friends that were investors in the crypto space who lived in San Francisco, and they were talking about Coinbase and Mt. Gox and all of it. And so I relate to a lot of people who, when they first hear about it, they're very skeptical and they assume that whatever money they put in, they'll probably lose. I didn't take the time during that period to really understand what the technology network was, and how, and really just the functions of money and the history of money. I didn't even know that I need to look into all of that. So I was very skeptical. I thought that it was essentially like investing in or gambling, and that being that it was digital, it was inherently more fraught with risk, or it could be hacked. And then someone gave me the Bitcoin Standard. A mentor of mine gave me the Bitcoin Standard. And that's what prompted my journey down the rabbit hole. I read it a couple of times. I started devouring information from all the biggest Bitcoin voices, as well as other macroeconomic analysts. I started reading economics textbooks. I started studying the history of money and reading everything that I could get my hands on. And then I decided to, start to podcast myself. I had a podcast prior to the one that I have now about Bitcoin. And it was more so just about origin stories and inspirational career journeys. And I decided to pivot it for I thought it was going to be a season about Bitcoiners, and it turned into a full-time career, because not only did it resonate with an audience and grow pretty organically, but also I just felt like I was finally able to sort of speak my truth and speak truth to power and start questioning the things that I had been seeing in the system and in my work for so many years. So I think it came together. It was one of those things where it was like, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? So I was lucky to be in that time, that place, with a particular skill set of communication and interviewing, but also a new knowledge in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin sort of rising in terms of media awareness. So that's how I started my podcast.
That's awesome. And maybe just we'll wrap on a final thought here. Because I know a lot of people have lots of different skill sets right across the spectrum. It could be tech, it could be communication skills, it could be many different things. And I know for them, it's like very hard to go away from a world where they have a huge network and they've been there for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and then to go into this new world. Maybe just a high level, like sort of thought process that you can share with people about what's been your experience of the community as a whole. Are they welcoming? Are they difficult to work with? What's kind of your thoughts there? Is it something that you would recommend to people to use their skill sets to help this community?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I am so grateful. just for how embraced I've been by the Bitcoin community, but I will say that they will hold you to proof of work. You know, they want to make sure that you understand this, that you're not just in it for the profits, that you are in it for the right reasons, and that you are able to educate whoever you can in your community. And that was my goal. So I feel like the Bitcoin community has been really great to me, and I've learned so much from them. I now have, you know, voices that I really looked up to and I never thought I would be in communication with. I now consider them my friends and mentors. So I'm really, really grateful. And it just goes to show that taking risk and really following your passion and what your gut says can pay off, because you're right. I mean, there was a lot of risk and fear to leaving a stable corporate news job. It's what I had known for about a decade, but I saw so much more value in really focusing on this new growing ecosystem, this new industry, and really form of money. And I felt like it was worth the risk. I was willing to just live off of savings to see what happens. And I really wanted to dedicate the time, because I think so many people really need this information. And there's a lot of, you know, there are people who run companies. There are very few communicators and messengers and educators in the space, I think. So I wanted to play my part. And I'm super grateful, but Bitcoiners will make sure that you've done the homework and you really understand what you're talking about.
I think there's a lot of different cohorts in the community, and they do like to dig deep and just know what are your actual drivers, what are your motivations, and it's good. It's good to know yourself. It's good to check out other people. So I love it. Natalie, what's the best way for people to I guess, follow you?
Yeah, so I'm very active on Twitter. That's where most people follow me. My handle is @NatBrunell. I have a podcast called Coin Stories, which is on YouTube and all the podcast platforms. My new show, Hard Money, will be on Bitcoin Magazine's YouTube page. And then you can also visit my website, talkingbitcoin.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the time. Viewers out there, it's a different kind of video for us guys, right? We're normally talking about macroeconomics, technical analysis, or Bitcoin price, all that kind of fun stuff. Today, we just meet one of the people who are really just sort of blowing up the industry in a really fun way. And I thought you might like to hear from Natalie. So let me know in the comments if you like this kind of content. We'll produce more of it. Thanks so much, Natalie. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you soon. Take care.